All right, we are live, and today on my Thursday chat with Kristy, I have the fabulous Jonathan Sharp from Ripple Marketing. And hello, good morning. We met quite a few years ago, actually, at a networking event, and I've always admired I guess the involvement in the community that you have here on the northern beaches of Sydney. And so it's just really lovely to have you a part of these interview series that I'm doing. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me. Thank you.
No worries. So I just wanted to start off with getting to know you a bit more. I know a bit about you, but the audience probably doesn't. So if you can just let us know what your journey has been leading up to joining up, and forming Ripple Marketing, and where you've come from would be fantastic.
Sure. All right. Well, first thing is obviously I've got an English accent, although it's a fairly flat English accent, I think, from all of my traveling. So I was, I started off life studying languages over in the UK. Enjoyed it, but it wasn't kind of for me. So I went back to college and retrained as a chef. I did a little bit of chef work and went on to do a hotel management degree. Really not knowing what I wanted to do. And in the UK, if you do one of those practical degrees, you have to do a year out in industry. Very similar over here. And I went and worked in Disney World in Florida. And I kind of designed it myself. My college didn't want me to go, or didn't want me to apply, because for every one job there's 5,000 applicants, and their attitude was, you're not going to get in, so don't waste your time. I had a big argument with them and said that if I was going to do it, I was going to do it. And it was my first idea of what marketing was. So I knew that the college was going to be full of 5,000 people wearing a dark suit, ready for an interview. And I know you get something like 7 minutes in with one of these recruiters. And I really didn't know what I was going to. I knew I had to stand out in some way. So 2 nights before, I read in the sleeve jacket of one of a book about Walt Disney. It said something about, I make up my mind in the first 3 seconds, everything else is irrelevant, or words to that effect. So I went, okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to dress exactly what I think an American is looking for a British person. So I went out and I borrowed from my dad a light grey jacket, a blue blazer, a white shirt, the loudest tie I could have, and a matching kind of handkerchief, and went for the real pompous kind of English kind of thing. And walked into this interview and held out my hand and went, Jonathan Sharp, you can forget about the rest. You found what you're looking for. And it was my first kind of, this isn't what I think I should be. This is what they're looking for. And I got the job, and I spent nearly a year in Disney World, having the best year of my life. Very strange company to work for. Lots of marketing involved, false sounds, false smells. The psychology behind those theme parks is incredible. At the bottom of the castle, the bricks are that big. At the top, they're that big, so that there's an optical illusion that is bigger than it is. And Main Street goes upwards, so it's a bit of a challenge to go up, and then quicker to get out. All sorts of things. And I really learned a lot about audience emotion, if you like.
Wow.
So then came away from there, finished my degree, and was approached by a cruise company. Cruises haven't got the best name in the world.
Not at the moment.
Unfairly, I think, but never mind. Got approached by a cruise company and thought, well, someone else can pay me to go around the world for a year. And 11 years later, I was still doing it. And I started off as a junior receptionist and ended up as first purser. Got to live in Japan, got to live in France, got to live in Italy. Got to live in America, all sorts of things in my 11 years, and got off in 2005, got posted here to Sydney. Again, for a land-based job, didn't know what I was going to do. 6 months in the office, met my now wife, and didn't go back to sea. So 2005, I'm sitting in a new country, really not knowing what I wanted to do. As bizarre as it sounds, land-based hotels don't recognize hotel skills that you got on sea. So you
wow.
can't get a job as a manager in a hotel. They want you to start right down at the bottom again, which is bizarre.
Wow.
And I decided that I was going to start up a business just for the sake of starting a business, really not knowing what I wanted to do. And my wife and I started a murder mystery company, an acting company. Which still goes. We still do corporate murder mysteries. But it was more about the exercise of doing this. And I got some fairly bad advice, and I got a little bit ripped off by a marketing company. And it was everything that I didn't want a marketing company to be. It was that old-fashioned suits, retainers, jargon, all sorts of things. And I made a commitment that at some point I was going to start a marketing business that wasn't what I just experienced. And then over the next 7 years, I went and worked in sales, marketing, trained travel agents on how to sell cruises for a while, but was national marketing manager for a hospitality company. And then I went and helped someone set up a new marketing business. And from there, 6 years ago now, I guess, 5 years ago, started Ripple Marketing almost overnight, sitting on the sofa trying to come up with a logo with my then 7-year-old daughter. And haven't looked back since.
Brilliant.
I love working for myself, and I love talking to small businesses about marketing, that it isn't as expensive and it isn't as hard and it's not as jargon riddled as people would have you believe.
Yeah, I love that. And what a great story. You and I kind of have meshed a little bit through our stories. You may not know this about me, but I studied Japanese quite a bit. I went to university, studied. I lived in Japan for over a year, and then I did hotel management. So no, I didn't get onto the cruise ships, but I certainly jumped into hotel management, and in food and beverage was my expertise, and that then led me, similar to you, it led me into customer service, basically, wanting to really just wanting people to actually be their authentic selves, right? So it was about hiring the right people, but to think of the end user, right? To think of the customer and what their experience needed to be, and that's your Disneyland experience, right? So.
Absolutely. And I think there's a bit of a gap. I think there's a bit of a gap in customer service of understanding the customer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of preaching of, the customer is right and you've got to go that extra mile and everything else. I think there's a lack of understanding of what motivates a customer when they walk through a door or see you online, and what they're after, and how they want that purchase experience to go. Yeah.
So let's talk more about that. Let's delve into that a little bit more, because what we see right now is we're in an unprecedented situation where there's uncertainty. No one really knows what to do. I think a lot of people are just floating around saying, well, do I sell? Do I not sell? Are people buying? Are they not buying? What do people need to be focusing on right now? And I think, the answer is obviously that they need to be focusing on what the people need right now. And what is that?
Well, it's different for every business. And one of the things we do regular workshops, or in normal times we do regular workshops. I've just got to apologise for the red nails, by the way.
Oh,
kids and
which daughter's
at home, so when I'm going like that, I've just noticed. You got to see the toenails. So it's different for different businesses. I think at the moment, we don't know what the next 6 months is going to look like. We've got lots of rumours and everything else, but we really don't know. So I think, number one, people at the moment need to be doing one of two things. They need to be making sure their business can still function now.
Yeah.
And if they can't do that, they need to be making sure that in 6 months' time, or 3 months' time, or 9 months' time, their business is in a position to ride the bounce back, if you like.
Yeah.
And, not everyone can. Some people are going to have to sell. Some people are going to have to, change what they're doing. But it's a now or then kind of mentality. As for what they need to be doing, the first thing we do in all of our workshops is we run all of the participants through a "Who is your client?" exercise, and we've all done them. We've all done these, these avatar building exercises.
Yeah,
But I think now more than ever, it's really important. Who is buying from you? We have got up in my office. I've got pictures of I think 4 or 5 different avatars. We've got names for them. Peter is a person who works in an office. He drives 40 minutes to work. He reads this. He's got interest in this, and you have to make a load of assumptions. But at the end of it, you've got a perfect client. And yes, I've got 5 of them. But only by doing that can you then work out what exactly your product is and how to get that product in front of them. So I think this is one of the hardest things that people find in the workshops. Sitting down 10 people when they come to one of the workshops and saying, right, who is your client? You know what your product is. Who is your client? And people find it really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And they don't want to make assumptions. They don't. They want to put down on paper only what they know. Well, that's fine, but that's only going to get you so far. If you want to market to a person, you're going to have to make some assumptions. And then you're going to have to test and adjust and test and adjust and test and adjust. We know that our perfect client is somebody who has tried to start a business maybe a few years ago, got so far, then realized that they've done things cheaply or badly or done things wrong, made some wrong decisions, and wants to go back and kind of get it right again. So we know that that's a big part of our clients. Well, to get in front of those clients, we've got to be talking about the mistakes that clients make when setting up business. We've got to be we've got to be on social media when we know they're going to be on social media. And the only way you can do that is by making a few adjustments. So making a few assumptions and then adjusting what you're doing. I wish there was a magic chart somewhere that said this kind of client is going to be on social media at this time, and there's plenty of them around. You've got to test. You've got to try it, test it, adjust it. Let's take social media for example. It is very, very cheap and easy to get a message in front of a lot of people. So let's take Facebook. You can post something just on your business page, and it's going to get on a small percentage of the people that follow your page. Okay. On the Northern Beaches, we've got a real mentality about groups. So Northern Beaches business guide, Northern Beaches mums, Northern Beaches this, that, and the other. It's a real area for that. So great, put your message on one of those groups and test when you're allowed to do that, but also when it's going to get a good reaction. A couple of tips about Facebook in particular, but social media in general. Facebook wants you to keep the user on Facebook. So if you post something that says, this is Ripple Marketing and we do websites for clients, we know that's going to get in front of X amount of followers for that page. If we were to put www.ripplemarketing.com.au at the bottom of it, we know that the very practice of putting that link on the bottom of that page is going to show that advert to less people. Facebook want you to stay on Facebook. So likewise, if we put a picture on Facebook, they love that. But if we put words over that picture, they don't like that. So that's going to get in front of less people. So it's almost back to the basics. Make it simple. Simple picture, simple message, and then some sort of follow-up. So whether that's within Messenger or an event on Facebook. Those rules don't necessarily apply if you're going to pay for it. If you pay for an ad, that's a little bit different. If you pay for an ad, you can get in front of people and not have to worry about putting a link in there. But oh my
God, there's so much, isn't there? Like I look at this and, I've got a business, I've got a group, I've got, and I must admit, I'm really overwhelmed at the moment with the amount of noise out there and the amount of people that are pushing products, pushing what they do. Even, I think all of us are feeling the same. So how do we, keeping it simple, I get that, there's certain, I mean, you've got to find out first and foremost, what's the number one pain point that your client or potential customer is going to have, so that you can speak to that, so that you can rise above all the noise, right?
Absolutely. I mean, look, the order that I guess it is coming is, number one, what's your product? What are you actually selling? And a really good understanding of that is really important. So number one is that. Number two is who's going to buy it? Who's your customer? When are they looking? Where are they looking? What do they want? Number three is how do they find it? How do they actually get information about your product? And this is where websites, blogs, videos, social media, all have kind of got to work together. So how do they get it? Number four is, and this is kind of where it starts to drop off, how do they buy it? It's at the moment, especially when we're all locked in a house and we're all kind of searching on all sorts of devices, and there's so many people trying to sell you all sorts of things. How do they buy it? It's got to be easy. It's got to be a very simple, quick, easy process. Things like, WordPress is the biggest web development system out there. WooCommerce is the biggest cart shopping system out there, which work really well together. WooCommerce now let you sell your shop on Facebook directly, as in you build it into the website, and you can build a link, and those products will sell directly on Facebook. So you've got almost a shop directly there. And that's a free system. So there are ways that you can have a shop online, and most people are going to go to your shop, but also sell on social media as well. I'm a firm believer that you shouldn't be paying for a lot of these systems. If there's free ones out there, great, take advantage of them. And then more important now is they've bought for you. How are you going to get it to them?
Yeah.
That's a challenge at the moment. 3 doors down from us is a very successful clothing shop, women's clothing shop. They're really struggling at the moment, not with sales, they're making great sales, but how do they actually get those products to the customer? They used to have people coming into the shop all the time and interacting with them and upselling and all the rest of it. You just can't do that anymore. So
no.
One of our clients,
I had a question. Sorry, I had a question around within our group. One of our lovely members is in the UK and she sells face care, right? And so normally people want to try, face care and want to try things before they actually buy it. So how do you give them the experience of having tried it or knowing that it's going to be good? How do you give that to them? I guess, there's got to be some strategies around that, but they're the questions that are coming out, because you can't do things normally.
Absolutely. And we've very much got to start thinking a bit laterally. We've got to start thinking out of the box. You can't send a sample out and then get the sample back, or you can't have share parties, or the things where you used to be able to do it. You just can't do it at the moment. We've got a restaurant who is a client of ours who wanted to get products out, and they've always been about the experience of coming in and touching and feeling and whatever else. You just can't do that. So trying to get them to think outside the box and say, we can deliver is one thing. Getting them to understand what their capabilities are and what their limitations are is another thing. You can't deliver because you just don't have the people. You don't have the money to go this way. You don't have the people to deliver all the time. So know what your limitations are and then work to them. They now, do these deliveries of these products on a Friday and Saturday between a certain amount of time. And you go online and you order it. And there's a process that we've come up with where the person gets a text message and it's left in front of the door, so there's no contact, and all these kind of things. So knowing your limitations and not trying to overextend yourself is a big thing nowadays. We don't
Absolutely.
want that courier walking into our office, which is a challenge.
So I just want to say to those people that are watching, thank you very much for being here live. And if you're watching this replay, you can always post comments after we've gone live, and Jonathan will be happy to answer those. But if you have specific questions that you would like live advice from, can you please post them into the comments? Say hi, Alexandra. Thank you for jumping on and saying hi. That's just going to help us sort of guide the topic based around what you specifically want to hear. So if there are specific questions, please throw them in there. So we were talking about this offline before we came on, about some simple things that people should be doing right now, because there is a lot of noise. There is a lot of, I could do this, and then there's a bright shiny object over here, and then I do this. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine this morning, and he was just saying that he was in complete overwhelm because there's so many webinars, there's so much content out there. And I've basically said to him, you just need to pick the one result that you want right now, and then the pathway that's going to get you to that result. So throw away everything else, focus on the one thing that is actually going to either, change the direction of your business. We hear a lot of pivoting at the moment. And when I was speaking with Matt Boyce on Tuesday, he said, I don't like the word pivoting, because that means that you've completely changed direction, off track of what you were doing. Maybe it's just an adjustment where you're going around the pothole and then you're continuing to move forward, which I really like. The sound of that. So what are those little things that people need to be doing right now that will help them to either boost their visibility or, just let people know that they're there, I guess?
Look, for me, it's almost working it backwards. So what's the end result? The end result is you want a local family to have a meal delivered to them in their house. Yep. So let's kind of take it backwards. The previous part to that is, how are you going to deliver it to them? So we've worked that out, no contact, all the rest of it. Previous part to that is, how are they going to buy it? So this is where having a good platform that you can accept payments over online and confirm that order comes into play. Previous part to that is your capabilities about whether producing it, in this case, producing it hot, putting it in something, getting it to them. The part kind of at the beginning is how you're getting in front of them. The simple answer is let's keep it simple. Okay, let's keep it simple. Know your business, know your audience, know what you're going to do, and then do something about it. And that sounds kind of arrogant and, just get on with it. We all know we should be posting on social media. We all know that we should be selling on Facebook or pushing a service on LinkedIn or, showing what we're doing on Instagram. We all know that. The biggest mistake that people do is they don't do it. They spend a lot of time planning it and working out the best way to do it. Get on with it is the simple answer. We can sit on Facebook and you can have 1,000 adverts come up in the next hour trying to sell me all sorts of things. Different people react in different ways. If I can see a business trying to sell me a product, one of the things I will do is go back and have a look at that business. So I see the product. Yes, I'm interested in that, but I'm going to go back and have a look at the business. If all that business is doing on Facebook is selling, is pushing a sell message, that's a bit of a turn off for me. I want to know what they do. I want them to have a bit of a profile. So one of the exercises that we do again in the workshops is, let's build yourself a calendar. On this day, you're only going to try and sell a sell message on this day, and this day.
Yep.
And on the other days, I want to know, where are you? I'm on the Northern Beaches. So post something about the Northern Beaches. You know, take a picture out of your window. I don't care. I just want a profile that says you're on the Northern Beaches. This is where I am. The other things is, what do you do? What do you do well? I'm not asking you to sell the end product. I'm asking you to tell me something about you. You know, what does your business do well? Who does it service? All that kind of stuff. Next one is share someone else. You know, social media is not you standing on the rooftop shouting how good you are. Social media is a conversation with everyone out there. So have a conversation. If we just stood in front in a group of people and just tried to sell what we do all the time, you wouldn't get anyone. No one's going to buy from you. You've got to have a conversation. So share what someone else does. Push something else. Share the calendar that Northern Beaches Council are doing. You know, share some advice. Do something. Interact with some other people. And by mixing it up and doing that rotating 4 or 5 day strategy, if you like, that's what's going to get you that profile, so that when someone looks at your page, you've got a profile, not just a sell message. Stop treating social media as though it's a billboard.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to say we're wonderful. We're trying to say this is who we are. This is what we can do. This is how we can help. This is some of our friends. You know,
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. And I get turned off completely by people that are just constantly selling a product. They're just constantly throwing their product into every group possible, or they're, you know, that really bugs me. And so, you know, even with the group that I've just created, you know, I actually feel at this time, I feel horrible about selling, but I know people out there would want to buy from me because what I have is valuable to them right now. But I want to build that relationship, right? I want to build that relationship before I shove a product down their face, or, you know, I think it's really, I think it's really interesting to go there. And I just want to shout out Lorraine. Thank you. She's just posted that she's really enjoying this. That's really nice, Lorraine. We really appreciate the feedback. It's hard in this time to be doing interviews like this with, you know, really valuable content without knowing whether people are enjoying it. So I appreciate that a lot. So let's talk. We're sort of getting towards the end of our half an hour, but this is so valuable. So if I can go a little bit longer, if that's okay, I'd really like to. So we've talked about the social media. We've talked about, you know, building that conversation. What else are you seeing out there right now that is reaching, is having value, I guess? I think, you know, a lot of people are telling me that you really need to be spending money on Facebook ads at the moment if you're wanting to reach people on Facebook, or getting onto Instagram and doing the Instagram stories and so on. What are you seeing?
Okay, so posting on social media is one thing, but things do get lost in the clutter.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people saying anything. Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising, you know, all the social media advertising is a way to do it. The bit that people are getting a bit confused with is you don't need to go out and spend thousands or hundreds of dollars. You can do a Facebook ad for $10 for a couple of days and see if it works, see what the reaction is. You know, there is nowhere else that you can spend $10 or $30 on advertising and get your message in front of that many people. Again, stepping it back slightly though, I guess one of the biggest things that businesses get wrong, and this is the big boys as well, you're advertising, getting your message in front of someone. Let's say we do a Facebook advert and it says you can buy this product. What happens next? This is the bit that kind of goes wrong. When they click on, yes, I'm interested, what happens next? Because there's no point in me saying, we can turn your website into an online shop. Click here for more information. And then when you click it, you go to Ripple Marketing homepage. Yeah. Because we don't talk on the homepage, we don't talk about we can turn your website into an online shop. We want you to go to a landing page that talks about why you clicked it. And this was a big thing back when the internet really first took off, where travel companies were really struggling with this. come and buy. We've got an advert for cheap flights to Fiji. Click here. We go to there, and it's the homepage, and it's talking about the ski season, and it's talking about honeymoon, anything. People just switch off. People are lazy. They will not search for things. They want the information right there and then. So taking it a step back, your website doesn't have to be anything particularly clever or expensive or groundbreaking. Just give the people the information they want. So if you're doing an advert, send them to a landing page. Okay. Now, I'm a big believer in your landing page should be on your website. There's all sorts of ClickFunnels and all sorts of other systems where they build you a standalone landing page. I'm a big believer from an SEO point of view that every click should go to your website, and it should be very, very easy to do a landing page on your website. So then we kind of go back to Facebook advertising is going to be one part of getting people to your website. So we then start talking about SEO, the other things that you've got to be doing on your website. People think that SEO, search engine optimization, is a very long-term, very expensive process. And yes, it can be. However, there are things you can be doing right now that will boost your website dramatically straight away. And things like Google don't rank websites particularly on just what they can see anymore. They picture Google coming and having a look at your website, having a look at it and ranking it, and then coming back 4 days later and going, right, what's changed? Where's the updates? What's new? That's what they want to see. They want to see new information. So the easiest way to do that is a blog. And I say the word blog, and half of your audience is shivering and going, oh, we hate blogs. I hate blogs as well. But blogging is the easiest way to get updated, really good, valuable content onto your website. If you can't do it, this is the one of the only couple of things that I will say. If you cannot do it, you're not interested in doing it, you don't know how to do it, you just never get around to it, talk to Kristy and get someone to do it. It's one of those things that is so important. You have to be doing it, even if it means getting someone else to do it for you.
So here's the interesting thing about that, because I am really bad at the moment. I have been really bad at consistency around that for myself. And it's taken this pandemic to make me realize that I can't be like that anymore. I have to have consistency. So essentially, all you people watching this out there, this is what I am doing. So listen to this. I have engaged. There are so many websites out there. There's one called Hire Writers, and you can basically submit to get an article written for $7 US. I mean, it's so cheap. The writers are experienced writers. They will write it in British English or American English, whichever your audience, you need it. And I've got that coming for 2 articles a week, right? So there's going to be this constant change of articles. And then my virtual assistant is literally just going to put those onto the website and get them. So it might take me 10 minutes to proofread and perhaps adjust the articles slightly so that it's more in my language. But I don't have to think about that. It's costing me $14 US a week, which is nothing. And I've got this constant stuff that my VA can then use for social media snippets throughout the week as well. But on Friday, I'm doing a fast class just about how to repurpose a very short 2-minute video into a full online blog and social media posts for a week. Literally, it'll take you 2 minutes to record something and then it can then go out everywhere. So stay tuned, 5 p.m. on Friday for that. But you're right, Jonathan. That is absolutely one of the things that I've recognized. If you put some keywords into those articles, is going to make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. So a really good tip is for people who go on online networking groups and your BNIs and your all sorts of things like that, or have got people you work with, or have got family or whatever else, go through a little exercise. Give everyone in the group a post-it note, whether it be a virtual post-it note at the moment, but a post-it note, and say, okay, you are looking for one of your services. So I am looking for you are looking for a web developer. Okay. The first thing that comes into your mind when you picture yourself sitting in front of Google, the first thing that comes into your mind that you're going to put into Google to search for my services, I want you to write down on there. And you'll get 30 post-it notes back. I can guarantee you half of them will be nothing to do with what you would think about. Put them on an A4 piece of paper, stick it on the side of your computer, and then when you get that blog back from your writer, or when you write a blog, just before you hit publish, take a couple of those phrases from those things and make sure they're in there.
That's brilliant.
That's your search terms, and that's what Google are looking for. The other thing is alternate your written blogs with video blogs, because videos are, number one, people watch videos. Did you know that the world's biggest search engine is Google? The second biggest search engine is YouTube. More people are searching for video content than all of the rest of the search engines put together. And Google own YouTube. So the very fact of doing a video, all you need is that.
Yep.
Okay? If you can get yourself a plug-in microphone for the side of it, even better, because it does pictures really well, but sound not so good. Do yourself a video. Put it on YouTube. You can get a YouTube account up and running in 5 minutes for free. And then embed that video from YouTube onto your blog. That is gold as well. If you do nothing else, those two things are absolutely things that you need to be doing.
Perfect. And I'm going to cover the video aspect on tomorrow afternoon as well, because there's these great tools and great places where you can get them captioned and transcribed, and there's all sorts of things that we can do. I just want to jump into a question that Lorraine's asking. Can I ask a question? I'm trying to grow another part of my business. I feel comfortable with Facebook, but don't feel comfortable with Twitter or Instagram. Am I missing out by not using those platforms? What do you think, Jonathan?
Look, it's a good question. And I guess there's two parts to this. Twitter and Instagram are quite easy to use because they're concise and quick. So, excuse me, Twitter is a little bit more difficult because you've got to get a simple message in a very short amount of characters. Instagram is a little bit easier, but it has to be visually related. You can take your same message that you were given. So let's take the food message. Instagram is an easy one for that because you take a picture of the platter, and that's what sells it. The nice thing about Instagram is you can link it with your Facebook because it's essentially owned by the same people, and something you put on Instagram then automatically goes straight to Facebook as well. You can do the same with Twitter as well. Twitter is one of those that needs just a little bit different thinking about, because you've got to write what you want in a very short period of time. It's more about that what happens next than it is what's there. But the same thing goes for all. If you're going to set yourself up an Instagram or a Twitter account, make sure you're going to be posting on it. There's no point. It's doing you no good sitting there not doing anything. So my view is, if you know you're not going to use it, or you're not going to be interacting with it all the time, don't do it. Stick to the ones you've got the time for it and do it. But the more of these social media platforms you can be on, the more audience there is, quite simply. So if you can do it, yes, do it.
So the answer is yes, you might be missing out on an audience by not doing it. However, if you physically aren't going to do it yourself, Lorraine may be getting somebody else that can do it for you at a very inexpensive cost, will actually provide that consistency and that exposure.
100%. And also, you can do, let's take Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Post on Instagram, click yes for Twitter and Facebook, and you've got 3 posts across 3 platforms with one piece of content. It's that easy. I tend to do things on Instagram, post it across to Twitter and Facebook straight away, and then alternate doing Facebook posts, because I can write more in a Facebook post.
Yeah, amazing. Jonathan, just so much, a wealth of information at the moment for people. I think, the key message that I wanted to get out of today is, and I think you've said this beautifully, is just keep it simple. The simpler we can make it right now, the better, but it's the consistency and it's just doing it. So don't sit back and think that, you know, you're going to get through this without doing anything, because you're not. You need to be visible. Yes, it's a noisy marketplace at the moment because everybody is online now because they have to be. However, if you take that sort of adage of saying, well, everyone is online and it's so noisy, I just don't want to be there, then you're going to be left behind. So you still need to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Know your product, know your audience, and do something. You have to be doing something.
Yeah. So how can they, so I've got your website here, your workshops and things like that, that's all still running. Talk to me about what's happening in your world at the moment.
So we actually, we've been really busy since this all started. We've been a little bit surprised that we've been really, really busy, and we are quite busy at the moment. And it's a lot of people who have either got to make the change, they've got a physical shop and now need to send that online very quickly, and they're easy jobs. And then it's the customers who have been procrastinating about doing something for the last year and suddenly realize they've got to do something. So, you know, we're really busy at the moment. I've been slapped with the workshops. We made a commitment last year or 2 years ago, where we would do a free workshop every month. And it would be user driven. So if someone said, I want to learn about SEO, then great, we'll do an SEO workshop, and they're free and they're easy. I really should be doing those online.
Yeah.
It is something that's on the planning board. To be honest, I just have not got around to it, which is shame for me, because everything I'm preaching is but we'll schedule some online webinars to be done starting next month.
Please do, yeah, because I think we would really get value out of that.
Yeah,
and I think
we'll do them the same way. If there is a subject that you want to learn within marketing that you're particularly interested in, let me know through the website, and we will use that for the next workshop.
Brilliant. Done.
And like I was saying before, I'm more than happy to sit on a 15-minute or a 30-minute Skype call or a Facebook Live call with anyone and have a chat about where your website's up to, or this kind of thing. You know, what should I be doing? Where am I up to? I don't know what the next step is. So, you know, really get in touch with me about that.
I think that's really valuable, and I think now more than ever, people need they need a guiding beacon, right? They need somebody that's going to basically guide them in a direction. And look, there is absolutely no doubt. There's a lot of noise out there. Every market is going to have their own strategy and their own way of doing things. But I think if you can pick somebody who you relate well to, who you understand, and you know, you feel comfortable and trust, you know, then pick them, go with them, listen to them, you know, get a strategy from you. I think that's really important right now, because these strategies are going to change almost, you know, every week at the moment. Things are changing. So you need someone on your side that can basically step by step guide you through this and go, all right, well, that didn't work. Let's turn that around a little bit and look at this. And I think, having a marketing person on your side right now, I think is super valuable. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate, you know, everything that you do for our community, and thanks so much. So I think a few people got a lot out of this, and you know, I love Lorraine. I'm nodding away here and just realized you can't see me. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate you being here. And everybody, if you have any other questions that you would like answered, please pop them into the comments after we've recorded this video. And, you know, Jonathan is in this group and he'll be able to answer the questions for you. But, you know, get online with him and have a chat.
Absolutely. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks so much. You're welcome. Thanks. Bye-bye.